Please note that this meeting is being recorded, may be broadcast and or rebroadcast on WestfordCAT. We'll start with open forums. Jenowitz?
Nothing, Mr. Chair.
We're set.
Just a friendly reminder, at the June 23rd Select Board meeting, there is tentatively an 8 o'clock item scheduled for the Planning Board to meet jointly with the Select Board in order to appoint someone to the vacant Planning Board position. So there's still time if people are interested to submit their volunteer activity forms. Go to the town website, and it's for a Planning Board position, and this term would run on just until the May election. So it's basically from August until the May election.
Only question
July.
about that, Jeff, is I'm assuming that we as the board will receive some kind of a packet of information on these individuals like Friday this week?
So when the Select Board packet is ready, the volunteer activity forms will be provided to both the Select Board and the Planning Board, so you can review all the information at the same time, yes.
And that is going to be ready Friday or Monday?
Thursday, because,
Friday's all
Friday's a holiday.
Right.
yeah, so by close of business Thursday, that should be available.
Okay.
Thank you.
8 o'clock
8
Tuesday.
o'clock Tuesday. Anybody on the board, anything open forum? Nope.
I do have one thing.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so I just mentioned to Jeff that NEMCOG and pedestrian safety inadvertently are always on the same night. So wondering if anyone else is either willing for this 1 week to do one or the other, and I'll do the other. Or if I'll have to blow off one of them
So
because
when is this?
this Wednesday. Pedestrian safety is having a meeting at Cameron, and then NEMCOG is by Zoom.
That's in the morning,
No, 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
for NEMCOG.
I could cover one if we have to.
Okay, so whichever you prefer.
We'll talk afterwards.
Okay, good, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, we have our first open hearing, PB 2610-174 Wilton Road. Before we open the hearing, sir, you need to know that there's only 4 of us, so you need 4 votes.
Yep.
If you want to kick it down until we have a 5th member, it's up to you, but.
Can we begin the process and? am I
Well, we
allowed to
can't
withdraw?
because then that person wouldn't be eligible to vote, so you'll always just be 4 votes.
So, but could I withdraw the application?
You can continue it until we can.
So continuing wouldn't really serve much purpose. However, if things proceed and the applicant is uncomfortable, the board could consider, if the applicant wants to request withdrawal without prejudice, you could decide to do that, and that would give them an opportunity to refile when there are 5 members available. But continuing won't really benefit the applicant, in this case, to pick up a vote. It doesn't
Okay,
matter.
yeah,
You
so-
can't mull it in after the
Right.
fact,
Okay. But he could withdraw right now.
with the board's permission.
Yeah.
And just so it's clear, a special permit requires a supermajority, which is 4 out of 5 votes in the affirmative.
So your option is to go forward, and then see how it goes and withdraw, or you can withdraw now, or,
Let's go forward and see how it goes.
all right. Having said that, can I get a motion to waive the public reading?
So moved.
Second.
Can I get a motion to open the public hearing? Oh, then I'll get a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. My name's Ed with Batten Brother Signs, and I am here on behalf of Liquor Junction. And we are requesting a special permit for relief from square footage for a second additional wall sign. Liquor Junction was pressed for time in terms of opening dates and needing signage up on the wall. So we went ahead and applied for the primary wall sign that you see here in front of you under the existing special permit for the whole property. That sign comes to about 66.93 square feet, and that sign is existing on the wall at this moment. Under the special permit, they are allowed up to 75 square feet of signage, and I have an example of what the remaining square foot sign would look like, if you don't mind pulling that up right now. Yeah, so at 7.6 square feet under the special permit, this is what the secondary sign would look like. And obviously, that is much too small to adequately advertise the location or the space, and it's just out of place with the other tenants in the property. Most of the tenant signage, like Anton's on the right-hand side, that is a 48-inch tall A, and what we are proposing would be in line with the other tenant signage. Going back to the main screen,
So, if I may, Mike,
Yes.
at 8 o'clock this morning, I called Jeff, after looking at the packet, I asked the question, and I thought the sign, because I looked at this thinking that was a conceptual drawing, which I think it is, but it has been
That is.
It's
installed.
installed.
And I asked, what if they were to put the two signs in, thinking they'd be equal size, and have them be legal? I'd like to see how they would look. When they're legal, conforming, I assume they'd both be equal. But because one's already installed, it came back with that 7.5 square foot alternative for the side. So that's the genesis of why this has been displayed tonight.
Okay, great.
And that option was proposed at one point, and for reasons I can't speak to, the building ownership disapproved of that. They wanted us to utilize these, the wall space kind of above Anton's to its maximum extent. The drawings had gone back and forth multiple times. The customer was like, fine, do it, and we'll get a special permit for the secondary wall sign, which the landlord agreed to. But I can't speak to the reasoning behind that. So the secondary sign that we're proposing is 48-inch tall by 151 inches wide, which comes to about, breaking up the logo and the lettering, it comes to 42.84 square feet, which under not the special permit, but the regular bylaws would mean we would need relief for about 42, 48 square feet of signage for this one to be allowed. And I know this is getting confusing, that there's an existing special permit that we were allowed the primary wall sign under, and now we're requesting for a special permit for the secondary wall sign, where the special permit that's in place would not.
Well, I don't,
apply
that
to.
special permit doesn't carry over. Does it carry over to a new business?
The comprehensive signage plan for the plaza does carry
Yeah,
over.
yeah.
So that allowed for, I believe, 75 square foot of sign display area where they could come in and just apply for a sign permit.
Right.
Joanne Fabrics, the
Had a
prior
special,
tenant,
right.
had in excess of that, they had approximately 90 square foot of sign
Which
display
does not
area.
apply to.
But they were there before that comprehensive signage plan was in place.
So they had to have come and gotten a special permit at some point before, or they
It
just went for it.
depends when they
I
came
don't know
in
when that
relative.
sign was put up,
Yeah, it could predate,
the sign by law.
yeah, it could,
Mhm.
so.
Mhm.
So I can't speak to that.
So the Joanne signs combined was how much square footage?
About 90, so they're looking for approximately
17, 19 square feet.
19 to
What
20
was there?
square feet above that.
Between the existing one that's already now installed and
Yes.
the new one they want to add?
Yes.
Yeah. The primary issue with what's been installed is from the northeast area of the parking lot, you start to have obstructed views of the sign due to half of the sign being over the roof line of Anton's. And the customer feels strongly about having a sign that can be better visibly seen from street level as you're approaching the storefront. From ground level, as you approach the storefront, the large sign at best is partially obstructed. At worst, you can't even see it. You can only see it from the side.
Yeah. So was it the business owner that wanted to put that new sign up there, or was it the landlord, you said?
The landlord. The business owner originally wanted to do exactly what Joanne had. And then we were dealing with one leasing individual at, I believe it's Market Valley Place. And then it got bumped up to another individual higher up on the food chain. And they strongly suggested that we maximize the size of the space available above Anton's. And then they approved that right away, and then they gave us the okay for liquor junk, to go for the special permit for the smaller sign.
Maybe they should come in here.
Yeah, I know.
So, I've got a real problem here, and the problem is with the landlord. That landlord, they're the ones that entered into the comprehensive sign permit with us and would have known about it. I feel bad holding the customer hostage, but at this point in time, I want to talk to the landlord, because I'm sorry, this is not a situation of asking forgiveness after the fact. I think, I'm looking at the pictures here that we have in our additional items tonight, and the Joann's fabric sign already overwhelms in size the Anton's and the Coco nail bar sign. It's shown here on the screen. And now it's the landlord demanding it be put up high and made larger in violation of a comprehensive sign permit that they signed the agreement with. So I hate to hold the customer hostage, but I think we need to have a discussion with the landlord on this and what the approach is. I mean, this is, I don't think this is acceptable. We have a comprehensive agreement with them for a reason, and I think they're obliged to follow it. And one individual can't decide for marketing reasons, I'm gonna make this larger, I'm gonna put it
Yeah,
up
go see,
higher.
go get another one, go ask them for more.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean,
See the reason for it, they probably want to be able to see it from 495 or something. I mean,
but come and talk to us. Don't go and do something and then.
right.
And I do agree that now, the second sign is just, it doesn't look good if it's gonna be compliant. But I'm also not in favor of just giving them a whole bunch of additional sign space, because one individual decided not to comply with that agreement without even discussing with us.
And I think I would be willing to say that, had this been done right, I would have gone to as far as Joann's had there, which was more than what the
Right.
permit allows.
Yeah,
I don't think his approach is appropriate.
So can I just, when I go back to the customer and the building owner, for the primary wall sign, I guess I just, under the comprehensive sign plan, this would be allowed.
That one would be.
Yes, yes. And then, so with that smaller one as well.
Right.
So, I don't take them as.
Right, so I mean, you could just do that and not come back,
Right.
or you could come
But-
back with a proposal and bring the landlord in with you. Or a decision maker or whoever came up with this, and lead us to understand why, how this came about. And this board may be willing to grant some relief, again, to, maybe to the point of where Joann Fabrics was. You know, was it 90 square feet?
I mean, this is not just a waiver from the sign bylaw. This is a waiver from an agreement that that landlord signed with this town. And that's where I'm really starting to have a problem, where they didn't come back to ask, because they should have known better.
Placement is
So-
completely different too, yeah.
Yeah. Just to play devil's advocate, from their perspective, I think it's the second line item in the decision for the comprehensive sign plan that says, in no instance shall any unit exceed 240 square feet of signage. And then I guess the logic was that as long as we're under 240 square feet, which is a lot of signage, it's still within the spirit of the bylaw.
Only that one aspect. It doesn't meet the criteria for this particular unit.
Right, just because they don't have the linear square footage.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
They rented out the whole plaza, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think your option here is,
So, yeah, I think I would ask to withdraw at this time.
Can I ask just one question? too?
Sure.
I did notice, I didn't find it anywhere, but can you also include how many foot candles?
Yes, I can
of
include that.
Illumination there is.
I
I know
can-
you have
The-
wattage, but
Yeah,
yeah.
and I can speak to the, so generally, we like to use the 7,000K LEDs. They're really bright. for signs that have a laminate on the front of it. We find that especially a darker, this yellow is darker in person than it might look on the drawing. The darker laminates, if you use a cooler LED, it completely washes out the light and almost look like the light's not completely lighting properly. Sorry, the sign is not lighting properly. So we tend to use a very bright LED whenever we have color, just so it doesn't get overly diffused. But I can get you the information on the foot candles.
Okay, thank you.
So a motion to allow them to withdraw with.
So there are a couple of options.
Yeah.
So you could simply seek to continue to a date certain. It still keeps all the options on the table, and it doesn't prevent you from requesting withdrawal without prejudice. If you request withdrawal without prejudice now and the board grants it, if you come back again, you gotta pay all those legal fee, notification fees, abutter fees,
And go
newspaper
through that whole
fees.
notification posting process.
Right, so it doesn't essentially cost you anything if you want to continue to the August 17th meeting.
Okay.
And it still doesn't take off the table sounds like the board might be amenable to requesting withdrawal without prejudice. I can't speak for them until they vote then, but this at least keeps options on the table without paying to re-advertise.
Got it.
That's a good
So,
idea.
so continuance would be to August, not July.
Unless
There is no meeting.
there is currently no meeting scheduled for July, the board is discussing that.
But I don't think we've made a decision yet, so the date certain would be August.
The determined now would be August 17th.
And we are requesting that the landlord be present to explain this and to have whatever offers they have for concessions, given that this is an amendment that they're requesting to the comprehensive signage plan for the plaza.
Okay.
So,
What would you like to do?
At this time, I would like to ask for a continuance.
All right, motion to continue.
Before you do, I
Yes.
didn't know, do we want to see if anyone here from the public?
That's a great idea. Any public comment? All right, motion to continue PB 2610, 174 Wilton Road to our meeting here on August 17th at 7 PM.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for your time.
PB 2604, 35 West Prescott Street. Mr. Brem is running behind and asked that we...
He's here.
Oh, he is here. Oh, good evening, Mr. Brem.
Great time.
Great, thanks. Good evening.
Oh, I was waiting for you, Mr.
Yep.
Chair. Jeffrey Brem, representing West Prescott Realty and Forge Crossing. I'm with Meister Brem Corporation. Last we met, we went over a bunch of things, and there were some changes that we made to the plan and submitted. I'd like to go over them if I would. We had some discussion in the waivers regarding curbing, and I talked to my client, and he agreed to go with the standard slope granite curb that's required by the town. So when we get to the waiver letter, you'll see that we removed that waiver request.
Great.
There was a couple of little details, one of which was it private or public road right of way? I think in some cases we had both private and public right of way. Anyway, we fixed all those and removed it from the stormwater report as well.
To be correct, there is still one more public way remaining that I caught.
Oh, my goodness.
It's in the waiver justification for the drainage pipe type.
Okay.
And I did make note of this morning to Jeff, that it was justifying that this would save the town money, which implies that it's a public way.
Okay,
That needs to be rewritten.
okay. It's not specifically stated, it's just That it's public, it's just that if it was.
It's
being
stated that
closed-
it's, the town is responsible for that
Right,
pipe, so
Town
that,
maintenance costs.
that would say that it's a public way.
got it, town maintenance costs.
Supposed to be private without town maintenance costs.
That was the first page of your,
I see it,
letter.
I see it right now. These, just so you know, this is why in engineering, when we change things, there's so many places
I
that
know.
it changes, you never catch them all, but I appreciate that, and we will, if that could be a condition, would be, if you would be so inclined as to approve this tonight, that would be, a condition would be acceptable to us. Now, the stormwater basin, we had a lot of discussion about the setback, the 30-foot setback to the neighbor in the rear. So, and I had indicated to you that we could slide that over, away from the neighbor. It's measured from the bottom of or the top of the basin, so it's on the other side of the berm there. So we did that. We moved that over and slid it so that it now meets the 30-foot requirement. It reduces the lot areas of the rear yards of 2 and 3 a little bit. However, we still need the waiver because, as you see with the big black line going right through the middle of it, between the two lots, lots 2 and 3 of the proposed subdivision, the basin will be there, and technically it requires to be 30 feet away from those new lots as well. And so the waiver still stands, but we removed it from the neighbor, and it's just within the subdivision itself.
And can I ask a question on this waiver at this time? I see that it was moved, but I didn't see any revised storm drain calculations. So I assume by moving it, obviously, the invert is gonna change at the
Nope.
outfall.
We kept all these same inverts, and we kept the same volumes, we just slid the whole thing over. And the pipe got a little steeper between DMH 12
So you
and-
kept everything the same. Okay,
That's
somewhere can we get that stated, because it doesn't say that anywhere, so just,
Now, is it, if this was to be legal, I mean, to be compliant with lots 2 and 3 as well, I'm assuming the only way that could occur is if one of those lots wasn't built.
If what?
If you were to be compliant not only with the 30 feet from the abutter, but the 30 feet for the 2 lots, could that be done, or would that require one of the lots not be built out?
No, we'd have a completely different drainage system. The whole thing
Okay.
would be different. It wouldn't be an infiltration basin, we would, the thrust of the drains would be different, but we'd still
But
have
it
the
could be
same-
done with this number of
Absolutely.
lots. Okay, that just want to understand that.
We had mentioned that the neighbor, if you scroll down, wanted a fence, and the fence was added and already constructed or installed by the neighbor, adjacent to the neighbor, so we put that on the plan. This is where the fence is, yeah, there it is, thank you, Joe. The waivers on the cover sheet now list each section, so if you remember, the 2 sidewalk waiver request shows up, I think, 4 different times in the regulations, and we cited it once, assuming that it was the big one and everything followed, but you see now, they are cited 3 different times. Corrected the reference for some waivers on the cover sheet. The references to where they came from, the sections and so forth. There were some errors, I guess. And the setback, I think, Joni, you said, what is the setback from the house to the new property line? And that was an important, very, very crucial item that we had been designing throughout the subdivision, but never showed. It's not on this sheet, it's on another sheet, Joe, but it's shown. That's the plan for the other way. There you go, no. There it is, right there,
Okay.
25.7.
thank you.
The berm detail was 8 foot wide in one location, about 12 feet wide in the detail, that's been corrected. And the driveway for the A&R lot has been shown on one of the other sheets, coming off of the new subdivision of Violet Way, I think further on down on the plan profile, there it is, right there. So there's the driveway, no, the other driveway, the permanent driveway. And those trees that you see, those are existing, so they were existing at one point, they're not even there anymore, so. We also prepared an exhibit
When
which
you say
compares.
proposed septic, that's actually been realized, correct?
It was, yeah, it's now been, I don't know if
Constructed?
it's been fully accepted yet by the town, it's partially constructed, let's say, okay, so.
But it's already in that location.
It's in that location, exactly.
Okay.
And I would say it's right about to be accepted by the town, if not pretty soon, because the house is getting finished. We also prepared an exhibit which compares the impervious area of our proposed road loop to the required loop. And that's exhibit here, if you remember. So that was submitted to show that the difference between the cul-de-sac that's required by the town and the cul-de-sac that we're proposing is a difference of 2,292 square feet, 13.8% reduction. And I will remind you that we also submitted to the board a fire department turning radius plan, two different ways, one with rectangle boxes showing where the fire truck would actually be, and then the fire chief wanted us to show the wheels, and so this blue one is the wheels itself. We revised the
Consideration was in the packet. The applicant requested some modest changes to it. We incorporated those into a red line version that was sent out earlier today. We can go through anything in the draft decision if the board wanted to do that, part of the discussion this evening.
Bob?
I'm gonna defer at this time, I'll pass it
All
on.
right, Joni?
Okay, so, we'll start with the cul-de-sac waiver. So, question on this swept path analysis, this one with the blue wheels? Unless the way it showed up on the electronic is off, between station 3 and 4, there's some really strange jog in the wheels. So I really just want to be sure it works, because it's, I don't know if anybody else can see it, it's right in here.
Yeah.
And I've never seen wheels do that, so it's right in here.
Yeah,
So I just want to make sure it's really right. So something you probably need to look at.
Well, yeah, that is right, you can see, so the front wheel comes across, when you go from one direction to the other, the wheels change.
but it's not a smooth line.
It's not smooth, it's got an angle, and
Oh, it could be just the way it's plotted, yeah, the whole thing is that way. It's just how the AutoCAD plots it, it's an automatic AutoCAD thing, it's not anything we draw up. So,
If we could have that checked out. it
yeah,
doesn't-
I think we need to check it.
yeah, I could have it checked, but, okay, we were hoping to get a decision tonight.
Well, there's other things that we need to address on this whole thing, so I'll continue. On the waiver letter, it says elderly will be less interested in living here because they have to drag their trash to the end of the street. So my question becomes, how many units on one floor that elderly would be interested in living in?
There's none that are decided yet. The architecturals haven't been done yet,
Okay.
except
so-
for the lots it's been built on.
Okay, so maybe a valid, not valid reason. And I also read later on that there's a concern because people have to drag their trash because it's a private road, but if it was a 70-foot radius, the town would pick the trash up at the individual's houses. So it's kind of a double-edged sword where, understand there's a waiver needed, but the reasoning for the waiver doesn't make sense, is my concern. And some of that reasoning is actually in the waiver, in the decision document, which I don't agree with because it doesn't make sense. So just all these things that need to be looked at.
Excuse me, the only part that you're talking about is the value. The waiver makes sense, it's the cost associated with it. So I said it's a $10,000, I think a $10,000 or $12,000 cost. but that could be offset by the loss in value of the lots. There's no question about it. When you sell it to somebody and they have to take the trash 300 feet down the street, that some buyers will say, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'll buy a lot down the street, whether they're elderly or anybody. So it's just a value issue. You require, the only town I know of, that your waivers are based on some kind of a cost. I don't know why. It's not done explained why you want that cost information. There's no relative reason for that. There's no association that that cost affects your waiver granting. Nothing in there. There's no performance standard for that cost. It's just done, and we do it all the time. But there's no rationale for that in its first place. Like, okay, so you have a cost number, it's $10,000. What does that mean? How do you affect that? Now, I could jump to the conclusion that you say, well, if you're saving a lot of money, you should do something for the town. That's my conclusion, but it's not stated anywhere in the regulation that it says that. There's no offsetting deal to be made, okay? Years ago, there was. It was pretty bad in Westford, but that's not what it is. So we just identified that it's a $10,000 savings that I could argue could have a lot value reduction that would be that much more than the $10,000. And the developer is agreeing to accept that because he thinks Lot 4 will be a better shaped lot because of it. That's really why.
And that's fine, I understand that, but I guess what I'm saying is, we have documentation in our decision that basically says that the lots are being devalued because they have to basically take the trash down. And that could be solved if it was a 70-foot radius, because they wouldn't have to take the trash down. So I have concerns about the rationale, how it's written, and the decision document.
Just take that language out. I thought it was kind of odd language to have in there.
Yeah, it
so-
shouldn't be there, that shouldn't be there, and I think even in the letter, you know, if it was a 70-foot radius, the trash would get picked up, it wouldn't be an issue. So, I understand why you want the smaller radius, not a problem. And if the fire department's okay with it, not a problem, as long as we fix the sweat path. But this kind of wording makes it sound like the town is being unreasonable, and the town isn't being unreasonable.
But isn't in our decision, the reasoning environmental protection by minimizing clearing?
Up here, it's up further,
Right.
it's here, I'll show it to you.
But those are
It
the
also
findings
talks-
we have to find,
Right,
right?
but this isn't.
So you're saying to remove this sentence on number 4, 218.13.83F4, that says, the last sentence, however, that savings is offset by the reduction of value of the lots themselves. You want to remove that sentence, and I have no
Yes.
problem with that.
I will say
I guess
this.
I'm also a little uncomfortable with not respecting the elderly.
Yeah.
We don't tend to give preference in any manner when elderly would not be supported by that community feature.
I have to
That's,
bring my trash
that's a
out.
little uncomfortable.
It's not fun, but I would
I
make
mean,
that
the
decision.
only
I'm not
place
doing
where
it.
we have any kind of age discrimination is where we have over 55 communities that don't allow children. I can't think of any other instance where we favor families and we recognize the limitations of that development, which would not be friendly to the elderly.
I wasn't saying friendly to the
I'm not just, but no, it
Instead of
just comes
reduction
across
in-
as negative.
Potential reduction of value, but if you want to reduce.
I think we
remove
gotta
that,
remove
that's
that.
fine.
We have to
That's-
remove all that.
That's just
Because
uncomfortable to
it-
have in the language.
That's fine.
And Jeff, sorry, Mike, Jeff, I think the cost savings justification would be if this was like a public way, and it's you're saving the town money by doing something. Here, you know, I agree that you don't really, having a number on this doesn't make much sense, because we don't care how much it's saving the contractor or the builder. It's just really, it's more so less impervious area, which I think we're in favor of. So it's kind of a weird argument, I guess, but, yeah. You see the value of it, but it's
So we-
not a monetary
right.
value.
And to be fair, like, it is a requirement in order for the board to grant waiver. They do ask for the monetary value, and to Mr. Brem's point, they don't say what to do with it. I mean, the exception would be, there are instances where, like, if they're waiving the installation of a sidewalk, sometimes you take those fees and put it towards an overall sidewalk fund that can be used somewhere else that might make more sense.
Right.
But aside from that, you know, generally doesn't equate to, you know, whether to grant the waiver or not. It's just information in the subdivision rules and regs that they say you should have benefit of before you make a decision to make.
So the number is fine, I mean, it's a $12,000 number here, and it later on talks about saving impervious surface, that's great.
And maintenance for the town.
Yeah.
And plowing, you know, I think that's a big consideration in 10 years, replacing the road.
Being a private road and all. Yes,
Right.
Yeah.
Right, town's not gonna have to repair it, plow it.
So you want to strike from where, yeah, Joe, right there, strike that, that's fine with me.
And I think your letter, you know, the justification letter needs to be
The waiver
corrected.
letter has to be adjusted as well. yeah. For the record.
Anything else, Jody?
On this one, no, on others, yes.
Okay, well.
Oh, you want me to
keep
do
going,
them? Okay. Okay. Okay, we talked about the storm drain. On the, just a little one, on the drainage pipe waiver, it requests 2 feet of cover in lieu of the 4, which is fine because that's what the piping calls for. However, the drawings on sheet 8 talk about minimum 4 feet of cover for the storm sewer. So, to me, and it says minimum, it's not, it has to be corrected. I mean, it's under the roadway, I don't know if that's only under the roadway. Should the waiver be corrected to be 2 feet of cover only in non-roadway areas? I'm not really sure what the intent is, but I think that needs to be corrected on that waiver.
Say that again?
Okay.
I've lost you there.
On the drainage waiver,
Yeah.
you're requesting only 2 feet of cover, but your documents don't reflect that. Your drawings show 4 feet of cover on sheet 8, the typical roadway cross-section.
Hold on.
So maybe it'd be good to clarify in the decision where exactly they're seeking. their-
Yeah, is it only in non-roadway areas, or is it everywhere, but then the detail has to be corrected?
No, well, okay.
Yeah.
The drawing on sheet 8 is the typical cross-section.
Understand.
It's your typical cross-section.
Right, but it says minimum,
That's your typical cross-section. We're waiving from that.
but then it shouldn't say 4 feet of cover on the drawings, that's how the design said.
So maybe there could be if I may, Mr. Chair, maybe there could be a conspicuous note on the detail listing that a waiver was sought in this, like, where do you need the relief?
Oh, yeah, okay. You want to put a notation on this
Yeah.
typical cross-section that a waiver was granted.
Between like either this structure and
This
that,
section.
whatever it is,
Got
you
it.
know what I mean? I think
Got it.
that would be helpful.
Got it.
Okay, so, we're not talking about the decision document now, are we? We're just talking about the waivers?
You can talk about whatever you want.
Oh, okay, well, all right. Coordination with the railroad to discharge in the 100-year storm into their property. Do we have that? Do we have something from the railroad that they're okay with you discharging?
I think what Jeff said last time was that they were notified, and they will be notified of the decision as well. They're
Okay.
just like
But
any
is
other
it- It's
abutter.
not town's job to do, is it? It's, to
Well,
be the developer's job.
Yes, it is a town
We
job by
are,
zoning.
we take care of the notifications on behalf of the board to ensure that they happen both for the, you know, it's not like that in every community, but we do take care of that responsibility, both for the notice of the public hearing as well as the decision.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so that's the town's responsibility. Okay. Okay, Mr. Kravitz's concern about the trash pad and the light post, I think we need to address. We need to talk about.
Yeah, I saw that as well. We might not need as much concrete with the smaller barrels this year.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very small.
But I wonder, Mr. Brem, I mean, there's nowhere, other place to put that. I wonder if you're willing to put a little fence around that for the concrete.
It affects, potentially affects sight distance. I don't know if you want to do that.
What's that, a site?
Sight distance, yeah. I mean, have you been to buy the one that we built on Anne Marie?
No.
I mean, I drive by it almost every week, and it's just a little concrete pad, that's all it is, and they put
Yeah.
their barrels there, like anybody else puts barrels at the end of the street.
No, I understand, I understand.
Well, I think it's more than light.
So with respect to Amérique,
Yeah.
I have talked to residents on Amérique, and they told me they don't use the concrete pad because the trash and recycling company told them no. That doesn't work.
Do they go in to Emory?
They end up,
Put 'em on the road.
no, one has to go on the road, one of them they come in, and they're both, I forget which was which. But did talk to the owner, because he actually had seen this, and he said to me, he says, we don't do the concrete pad because the trash and recycling company said, don't use it.
But just to be somewhat clear, there may be new agreements, new players involved come July 1.
So, well, part of this is looking at América as the example, and then negotiating with the company. There needs to be a different approach to where that pad gets placed. But right now, we can't follow the Amérique model because the company doesn't like it. I'm just saying, I mean, it needs to be renegotiated and re-engineered. But the Amérique model is not working with the current company.
Well, it's a good point, because I just got my new trash can, and it says this side towards the street. So
Yeah.
if the trash
Right.
company's not going down this road,
Right.
it has to be on West Prescott Street, facing.
Yep.
So you have to turn that, if anything else, you have to turn that concrete pad.
You have to know which street that they want it to
They're
face.
not gonna
Yeah.
go down this.
Right, you good
Right.
point, they're gonna be on West Prescott, they're gonna do the automatic.
Right.
So maybe there might need to be a condition of approval relative to working that out through town management with the provider to see what they require.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
And his other concern was the light,
Pole, maybe we need some shading, some shading, some timers,
So
something.
are you talking about the Butters comment?
Yeah,
And what light pole are you guys thinking he means? That one right
what
there?
for?
That's 150 feet away.
Right, so you can shade it down, not gonna affect him, right?
What's that?
You can shade it away from his house.
It's 150 feet away.
It's just
There's
a
no
light
way
pole.
that any light's going to get over to his property.
Yeah, it's a lamp, it's not a street.
It's a
light.
lamp post, it's not a street light. Maybe he's confused that it's a street light. It's just a residential lamp.
oh, it's a residential lamppost, okay,
Yes.
I would expect he didn't realize that.
Is the applicant amenable to a condition of approval about the trash area?
Yes, yes.
Okay, just want to be.
I don't really understand the trash area. I mean, it's something that you guys have asked us to do and put a concrete pad there. And now you're telling me that the concrete pad that you've asked us to do, that it is not being.
In fact, the person I'm talking about is the builder who built the development and is a resident. And it's like they said, it's not working, this pad is, they told us they don't want. So we gotta, I'm just going more back maybe to our
Yeah,
town.
but we
saying-
can't run you can't run your design based upon a contractor that, like Jeff said, is only around on a contracted basis. If you have a
Well, I
different.
think we have to determine what is the approach that we're going to, as a town, we have to instill this approach on the pickup company. And right now, the pickup company isn't following what we've done, so
Right.
I'm just saying, we need to figure this out better.
Right, without, punishing the applicant.
I'm not trying to punish the
You have
applicant.
a condition,
I
you
think
gotta
if we're gonna
address.
do this,
Well,
let's
we
do
gotta,
it the right
we gotta do,
way.
if we need to move the pad around,
Right.
we could do that, as
Yeah.
long as it's a.
No, I was just
vague enough
sensitive when you
condition.
said, right, when you referenced Emery Way, that's the one I have feedback on
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
wasn't working.
Okay, and then I don't know how we're addressing Mr. Leith's concern on the water. I mean, I don't know, I think we have to
Well,
do
I mean-
something with it.
What's the question?
We had a citizen's concern that there's a not insufficient amount of water in town as it is. I don't know that we can address that concern on this scenario. I mean, if the water department, they can't get issue permits if they're not gonna get water, so.
Right. So I guess that's the question, do they have we gotten, do you have something from the water department, they're okay? I assume.
Yeah, they provided,
Okay.
we met with them, they told us there's an 8-inch line there. If you remember, we had a 6-inch line, and we changed it to an 8-inch
Yeah.
line, and they gonna provide water, there's no issues that we know of. I think this is a bigger issue.
I agree.
I don't think it's an issue of 5 lots in that location. I think it's a bigger issue like the status of the water in the whole
Yeah.
town.
Yep. Okay. These other things were on the decision, so I think it's more for the town. I don't know if we,
Okay.
go ahead, okay, we talked about the wording. Okay, and engineering is okay, has engineering, my overall, I guess, arching question is, has engineering had the opportunity to review the revised basin and these other revised items?
Yes.
They have, and they have no concerns.
They have no concerns, nothing that wasn't outstanding previously in their last memorandum that they issued couldn't be addressed with any kind of conditions of approval. That's why it's kind of specifically laid out the couple items that were to be addressed from their previous memorandum.
Okay, good, okay.
And they did that in an email.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
documented.
Okay. In the decision, page 5 of 14, it's talking about the storm drainage. And the wording basically says that without the waiver on the basin being between the 2 lots, it would substantially compromise the stormwater management system. And to Bob's point, that's not really true. It would have to be redesigned, but it doesn't compromise it. So I think we need to correct that wording.
Which item?
Item VI. On the basin.
So maybe it would require substantial redesign that would be to the detriment or less usability of one of the lots.
Yeah.
Something would be more
Right.
disproportionately affected or something.
Right, yeah, I just think we need to correct the wording on it.
Is that vague enough?
Yes.
Okay.
And less efficient, because what we have is a very good system that we have there now, an infiltration system, which is probably the most efficient, most sought-after system we have it.
And that's fair to say, but I think saying compromise.
Yeah, I agree with you, I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
but I want to put less efficient.
Right, that's fine.
Okay. On the conditions of approval, the approved plans, all of these conditions, so for example, one of the conditions that I saw was to seek a permit before construction of a unit. Right, sorry, pardon me, I said it wrong. Has to be, item 39, let me just get to it, I'll just read it, it's a whole lot easier. Prior to the sale of any lot within the subdivision, the applicant shall prepare an as-built plan of the site and landscaping measures and provide certification from a qualified licensed professional stating that the project was constructed in substantial accordance with the approved design plans to the planning and engineering departments. The as-built must be approved by the planning and engineering department prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. But the existing A&R lot is already constructed, already has a for sale sign, and I don't think any of that could possibly have happened because we don't even have an approved subdivision.
Right, so there should be, as we have in several other conditions, if I may, we had accepting for the A&R lot. So again, that dwelling was being constructed based on the existing
Right,
undivided lot.
right.
And so that's an oversight, so we should have some note to that it doesn't apply to the A&R lot. There is, however, one condition of approval that we believe should apply to the A&R lot before there's a conveyance, and that's just, there would be some homeowners association or organization established that addresses the maintenance of Violet Way and the stormwater utilities. We think it, and the board can say otherwise, totally fine, but we think it makes sense that as the A&R lot, if that's conveyed, that they be aware and subject to those governing documents, so no one can say they're not in a position to know that they have a hand in the maintenance. But we don't feel that the A&R lot should be penalized, you know, because it's part of, say, this subdivision. So we just missed this one, hopefully it's just this one. We didn't think that they should have all the same holdups as the other lots, so. So hopefully this addresses that issue for you.
Okay, yeah, that's fine, okay.
You'll see that in several other conditions, that language.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna have to really go through it, because I think a lot of these comments not only apply to this decision, but the next two decisions also, so we have to make sure we really look at them. And item 52 is suggested and agreed to by the applicant, fencing, screening for the westerly abutter, this is the permit one, abutter of the lot identified as an A&R lot on the project plan set shall be installed prior to the issuance of a building permit. The
It's already
fence-
installed.
Yeah, I understand. I have a problem if language is incorrect in a document that I am signing. That isn't correct. That fence, it said it was installed prior to the issuance of a building permit.
For the subdivision lots, the 4 subdivision lots.
That doesn't say that.
This is for the subdivision.
Yeah,
The A&R lot's not part of it unless it's brought in.
But I thought the A&R lot, other places says is part of the subdivision, it's a 5-lot subdivision. So is it in or out?
Well, depends on who you ask and when, but technically, the A&R lot is an A&R lot until the subdivision is approved and they convey, what is it, parcel X out of that, and then it's truly part of the subdivision, because then it relies on frontage from Violet Way.
Right.
So, part of this is confusion brought about by the A&R lot that is gonna change and become a subdivision lot once they remove parcel X from the A&R lot. If that's confusing, it is.
It is, right. So I just want to be sure we get
Why
all
did I say
this.
prior to the issuance of a building permit for lots 1 through 4? I don't know.
That's fine, if that would be helpful to clarify specifically those lots.
Yeah, that's fine.
For lots 1 through 4.
And like I said, we'll need to go through the other decisions, because a lot of this language goes, you know, through all of them. So obviously, I'm not gonna hold everybody up to that. I just-
Good?
Thank you, I'm good, thanks.
Sure. No, nothing additional. That was my main thing, was engineering was okay, and then the trash conversation. So those are my two major.
Well,
All right, so they had fixed 2 of the questions I had originally identified today with the revised packet, so we're good there. I have questions, and I'm not sure if I'm just overreading this, but conditions 10 through 15, right in the area that's up on the screen now, all of them start with prior to plan endorsement by the board. And when do we endorse plans other than signing off on the subdivision plan? And is this maybe not accurately stated? It's plan approval, I think maybe by the town engineer or town staff? I'm just trying to understand when we, the board, would be endorsing and what plans.
If I may?
Yeah.
So the approval goes on record with the town clerk. From that point, there's a 21-day appeal period. During that appeal period, usually, on subdivisions, we make these changes. These are usually minor changes that engineering wants. And then when that 21-day appeal period is up, you sign Mylars. Those Mylars are the endorsement. And
Okay,
those Mylars get recorded at the registry of deeds.
so
with the
all these actions would be done by that
we'll,
point?
yeah, in August, we'll sign the Mylars if
That's
we.
why I wanted to make, trying to understand this, because,
Yeah, it is also a confusing process. We write the decision may have steps that have to happen, there is an appeal period. The applicant may or may not do further action until sometimes they wait for the appeal period to lapse. Then there's the Mylars that will be brought to you for endorsement, but not until you have some security in place, like a covenant also. So you don't just sign the plans, there has to be some security in place to guarantee the construction of the roadway and the required utilities. So there are some additional parts, as you'll see with later items on your agenda this evening. So,
Okay,
So there's some time period that.
I just wanted to
usually
understand that
happens.
process, that was making sure I understood where we were and when that was going to occur. The only other last question, and Jeff, you kind of addressed it, was do we want to discuss the savings of the $2,500 for the sidewalk? And typically, as you said, we have them build the equivalent like the sidewalk to benefit this community by connecting it to other abutting parcels or areas, or it's put into the general sidewalk fund. And I just don't know what the status is in Forge Village of sidewalks. I think it's pretty poor in that area. So have we had any, has the town had any discussions of what would be a reasonable negotiation for that?
I guess I'm not in a position to talk about ongoing plans or strategies for that particular area. I know there's always conversations about improving connectivity to, say, schools that might be there or village areas, but I'm not in a good position tonight to talk about that. The only thing you have before you is the estimated.
How much is it, 2,500? Would the client be willing to donate 2,500 to the sidewalk fund?
I can tell you right now, probably not. Because we've had 2 extensions already. It's July, it's June now. We won't get plans signed till August. The season's gone, the 2026 season. And it's not my client's fault, and I'm not gonna I'll leave it at that, okay? I mentioned it last time, and I don't think it was received well. But I don't personally, as a citizen and an owner of business in Westford for 35 years, I don't understand what the sidewalk voluntary contribution is for anyway. I don't understand it. It's a planning board action we're seeking. You could choose, like we said before, the dollar amount is just stated in your regulations. There's no linkage to that dollar amount to something else. And there certainly isn't a linkage between the dollar amount and granting the waiver. And I would caution you to do that because I think that's clearly would be illegal. Now, years ago, this board, all these members that you have on the board now were not there. But this board did those things, and it caused an uproar. People got fired because of it and so forth. There was linkages to savings and voluntary contributions that were kind of forced on people. That's all I'll say about that. But I don't think it's right. I don't know what my client thinks about. He's not here tonight, but it's $2,500, and I think we're going to pass.
Okay. I do want to address this statement, Jeff, about the delay, because it was your client who continually requested the extension.
Oh, no, that's not how it works, Bob, if you didn't know. We submit plans, there's a timeline,
Yep.
and then the internal staff of the town reviews things, and sometimes they're not ready for the meeting that we all hope that they would be for. And we get together and we all agree, and it's a very amiable situation, so we agree to postpone. So we postponed twice here. You may not know that, but that is the reason why we're here in June.
Well, go ahead, Mr. Barset.
So I appreciate that municipal review can sometimes take time. However, I don't think this application started off in the most efficient manner. And we've had those conversations, and I don't think it's fair to put it squarely on the municipal side. I think this could have been a more straightforward, organized process.
So now you're getting I agree with Jeff, and I think his back is up, and he's a little upset because I think there's upset on both sides. And it was a complicated plan. I said, if you remember the very first discussion, I said we have a simple plan and a complicated process because of the A&R situation. And we do have a simple plan and a complicated process. And what Jeff is saying is I did not make things, my office did not make things any easier because of the status of the plans and some of these public-private things, and we agree to that, okay? So I'll take some responsibility for those, but there is a time issue. And I don't really want to, we're done here. We've got a great plan. I think you're all gonna be very pleased with the project. I think you have a great drainage system. The drainage system from the town goes right through here. I think it's all good, good, good. So I don't wanna end with a sad note, so let's leave it at that.
The other part is, I didn't look at this as a particularly long, drawn-out process. when I'm looking at the application submission date of
Okay.
February 17th, we're sitting here now at just under 4 months. And I can't think of other, 4 or 5 unit subdivisions that went through in record time of a month. I mean, this was submitted just prior to the start of building season, 2 months prior. So I don't want to leave it on the record that we drew this process out, because I don't think we did. I think this was a fairly traditional review cycle and very typical amount of time to perform the review. So I think if your applicant was thinking that this was going to get through and be ready for this building cycle, it probably should have been submitted last fall.
All right.
I just don't see how, we take the heat for this.
Oh, okay, I don't want to say that I'm giving you any heat, okay? So let me take that back. If that's how it felt,
Yeah.
I didn't want to say that, okay? So maybe I'm not an expert in these kind of, I'm an engineer, not a voice person or a communicator. So I apologize for that. What I'm saying is, we're stuck now, here we are in June, and you're not meeting in July, and his house is
Okay.
built.
I think we're all on the same page, so.
You
why don't we-
understand what I'm getting at?
Yeah,
And
yeah, I do.
There's
So let's just
this
keep it
pressure
contract.
that's happening from all sides, that's all I'm saying. And I do not want to speak ill of the board or of the people that work in the staff, because I've known these people for, some of them for 20-some odd years, and we've got a great relationship.
And there's no better land use management office than Westford, so.
Yeah, that's for sure. And
We
can I-
depend upon them for these thorough reviews, so.
Can I ask just a general question, though,
Yeah.
just process-wise? Typically, and I'm kind of looking at Jeff and Joe, A&R lots, because I have never seen an A&R lot come in this way. We've always seen like an A&R lot happen first, so is that, that's normal? I assume you would get an A&R lot, it would get approved, and then whatever happens after that with it.
Everything, each application can get looked at separately. It is totally fair to have a separate A&R application sort of be married to a subdivision plan. What's different in this case is what can qualify as an A&R lot now is different than the lot it ends up being when it's part of the subdivision, because they don't have the frontage that they need. You can't have the A&R lot be unchanged as part of the subdivision, because they need additional frontage from Violet Way, the way that's not yet in existence. They can't count that frontage. So that is what makes it a little more challenging.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Anybody in the audience have any discussion, questions, thoughts? Please come up, give your name and address, and
Hi, I'm Paul Kravitz, 31 West Prescott Street. We're the neighbors of the new construction, and we have a couple of what I consider maybe minor concerns, but with location of the proposed pad for garbage disposal, or for trash can and trash pickup, and also for the light posts.
so, Ms. Kravitz, we did discuss that, just to review.
Okay, sorry.
We do believe that concrete pad is not gonna be able to be utilized, because the barrels now have to face the street. So we've asked the town to speak with the town manager's office to figure out how the disposal companies would wanna proceed with that.
Okay.
And if it gets approved tonight, that will be part of our conditions of approval, that be rectified. And that light post is just, it's not a street light, it's just a normal driveway post, and it's 150 feet away.
Got it, okay.
Anything else?
Nope, that was
Great.
it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else in the audience? All right, so I think what we need to do is decide if we're gonna vote to approve this, subject to discussion tonight. Again, we would get a decision that would have to be updated, and Mylars wouldn't be ready until August, that engineering would have a chance to review as well. I don't have any concerns with the fire department, they've looked at that. I think it is squiggly, but I think that's just a AutoCAD. I think that the drainage is a better design than it was before, as it's 30 feet away from the neighbor. And we're not imposing that on the neighbor, but if you're gonna buy the lots, you have the ability to know that that's within your 30 feet.
Agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cul-de-sac, in my opinion, you know, I would like it to be a public road, I'd like the trash to be picked up, but they do have this option, and I think it's gonna make for better lots with a smaller cul-de-sac. And I'm glad they've put the curving in. So those are my thoughts, and I think, Joni, if your concerns can be fixed as a condition of approval, I'm willing to go forward. Karen?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Joe?
Bob?
Yeah, my only concern about the trash is, you're gonna have a substantial amount of barrels every other week when you have both the trash and the recycling.
Yeah.
Right now, with the 5 barrels we have for trash, they're not that much area-wise, they're kinda small. So that shouldn't be a problem, but with recycling, we are gonna, I guess, put them out along West Prescott Street.
Yep.
We already have those kind of things at every driveway on West Prescott Street. My only concern is, you know, them getting blown over on a windy day. This will create quite the obstacle on West Prescott Street. But that's the risk, you know, those residents will take with those barrels.
Right.
Yeah, and obviously that pad's probably not gonna work with the way this is gonna fall, at least with the next contract we have.
Right.
Who knows in subsequent contracts, so. But, yeah, and I think to what you said, Mike, I think our first question is just, do we close the public hearing or not? And then, you know, the approval is after that, but
Right.
I think we've asked for all the information and have it at this point. I'm not sure. I mean, other than making the corrections we've discussed here tonight,
There's not much more.
there's not much more.
Yeah. All right, well, with that, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm concerned about all of these things
So
being
one
corrected.
abstention?
Yeah.
So please note there was an abstention on that one, Jeff.
Yes,
Oh,
I'm concerned about all these
sorry,
things being
catch that.
corrected.
There was 3 yeses and 1 abstention.
So I want to be sure everything gets corrected. It's just a lot.
So I'm going to entertain a motion to approve as discussed this evening. Is there a second?
Second.
And
A
then-
motion?
I'll make a second, but, and add to that, as discussed and amended this evening.
So Darren made the motion, Bob second.
Yep.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Me.
One opposed.
Thank you. There's
Just to be clear, that's for both.
Stormwater and,
Stormwater.
That's what I was gonna
Yes.
ask, okay, thank you. Do you need to make 2 separate motions for that?
Nope.
No? Okay. Thank you very much.
all righty, thank you. Good luck. First general business item, 2605, 219 Littleton Road, request for execution of covenant, endorsement of plans. Good evening, Attorney Robbins.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm sorry I didn't hear what address we were starting with. Which project are
Oh,
we on?
I'm sorry, Littleton Road, 219.
219 Littleton Road. So, Mr. Chair, we're here tonight for, as the board may recall, we have approved the definitive subdivision. So procedurally, the next thing to do is to endorse the covenant and approve the covenant. This board has to approve that covenant form and then vote to endorse the Mylars. This is basically your typical covenant, with the exception that we've extended the time period to match the 8 years that's approved in the freeze. So that would be the only change. And again, this covenant says that we can't convey any lots unless we do the work or we bond. And that's it, Mr.
So,
Chair. We would
yeah.
ask that the board vote to approve the covenant and sign the covenant, sign the Mylars, and then you'll hold them tight here until I get everybody else to sign them. I return all the signatures to Jeff, and then he'd release the documents to me for recording.
All right, I'm sure everyone read the covenants. Anybody have any questions on them?
No.
No,
No.
no.
Motion to approve the covenants as written.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank
Motion to approve and sign them. Do we have to motion to sign, endorse the bylaw? Just endorse it.
Well, I would say you've already issued the decision, so just endorse the plans, that's
All
fine.
PB 260179 Powers Road.
Mr. Chair, again,
Do
Mr.
anybody have any
Robbins.
questions on that?
This is exact,
Right.
this is Excuse me, is this 37 or 79?
79.
79, so this is exactly the same covenant, we've done the same exact exception, and
Anybody have any
the
questions?
request is the same.
It was,
Go ahead.
just, my wife will be proud of me asking this, it's starting the covenant with known all men as opposed to known all persons. I just wanted to ask that, is that typical legalese that's required?
These are, I think the forms on the subdivision rules and regulations were written in 1992, so I think it was a sign of the times and have not been set
I just wanted to ask
updated, so.
that.
On the next revisions, we can pick that up.
I didn't know why it wasn't like know all persons.
Yes.
But
That's the only reason why, it's old school legalese.
Yes, exactly. Now comes.
Yes.
Okay, so PB 2601, 2 parcel 79 Powers Road, 79A and 89. Motion to approve the covenants and endorse the plan.
so moved, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
37 Powers Road.
So 37 Powers
PB
Road.
2536.
Mr. Chair, follows your standard provisions, there's no exception for any previous approvals, but we do keep the same time frame for 8 years for the freeze.
I had a question on this one.
Yes,
We go back to the agreement from 2018 with the Gutierrez is here. So is this?
oh, that's the next thing, that's the next item,
Okay,
yes.
sorry.
So can I ask one question?
course.
79 powers. Engineering comments are all good, correct?
So 79 powers.
79.
Yeah,
The
we already approved
yes.
revisions were
Yep.
made to the plans before they
Yep.
brought them
Yep,
forward.
yep,
Yep.
yep.
This is the covenants.
Oh, the covenants, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
But yes, we did,
Thanks.
as,
I just
as-
wanted to ask, yeah.
when you approved the definitive subdivision, we had some items that needed to be
Yep.
cleaned up, so
And
there's a
yeah.
cover, letter that showed that it was cleaned up, and, they're shown on the Mylars.
Good, good.
All right, motion to approve the covenants for PB 2536 and endorse the plan.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. 37 Powers Road, request to amend development agreement between the Town of Westford Planning Board and the Shovel Westford Realty Trust. You want to start with this, Mr. Morissette?
Sure, Mr. Chair. So, in case you were not aware, Tech Park West, their town benefits from a development agreement. Tech Park West was originally conceived to be developed over 3 phases. 2 of the phases have previously been developed. The second phase is residences at Westford West, and when that came in, those 240 units. At that time, the original approval and the development agreement contemplated office development. And so it didn't happen. And so in the first amendment to the agreement, which was in 2018, they simply took a like-for-like square footage. The town still got the same amount of monies, but it was tied to certificates of occupancy for the apartment buildings. So they are looking to do the same thing this last time now on phase 3. We would like to convert the office space to all the residential space, which by the way does include not just the apartment buildings, clubhouses, garages, wastewater treatment facilities, so all the buildings, all the square footage. The town would get the same amount of money owed under the development agreement. However, thanks to the willingness, cooperation, good faith of the applicant, they are willing to pay half up front with issuance of a building permit for each building, and then the remaining half would be upon issuance of the certificate of occupancy for each building. So the town gets the same money, but we get basically half the money a couple of years earlier, which we think is totally in the town's favor. We think it's in the best interest of the town, and it increases our spending power by getting the money sooner. So we're hoping that this board is willing to vote and support this and even sign this. This is also going to the select board on the 23rd, actually. So we're hoping the board would be amenable to this. A separate question down the road would be what to do with the money, and that's an entirely different conversation. Right now, we're just looking to get the same amount of money and get half 2 years sooner, more or less.
Correct.
So I'm sure we all read the agreement. Bob, any questions, comments?
It has been reviewed by many councils, I will say.
Joni?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Darren?
No, I just wanted the history lesson there, which is what.
Oh, yeah, there's more in the packet, but.
Okay, so, motion to, how do we want to say this? Motion to agree that we'll amend the development agreement as written?
Sure. And we have documents for signature if the board is willing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Last item E is discussion regarding scheduling public hearings for battery energy storage systems and solar energy use zoning bylaw amendments. Mr. Morissette?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we are winding up to start public hearing process. As you may recall, NIMCOG is assisting us with this effort. We also have Mike Berlinski here from the Clean Energy Committee. And so we're not looking to discuss the topic tonight, but rather to gauge when the board wants to begin this process. Part of this is tied to when NIMCOG can have those initial materials available. They were planning on having materials available on the early side of August. However, we are all also thinking the October special town meeting is not that far away. And would it make sense to at least start, even if it's not the formal public hearing process, start a little earlier? Probably going to be a lot of conversation about this. It's not going to be, you see an initial version and there's just a couple of like changes. I expect there'll be a lot of meaningful conversation, and maybe we could start, if the board is willing.
Is there any dates the room's available?
Yep, there's July, if you want to start this process, late July. I mean, one is a strong word, of course, but late July, even if the formal public hearing didn't start till sometime in August.
I would suggest that if NIMCOG could have any information to us, if we do start the formal public hearing, if we could all agree on a date in July, might as well get tacked on this, if we're gonna try to get it for October.
Yep.
Yeah, agree. Just because of, when we kind of talked all the way around it, it's a very vague label on that slide. Jeff alluded to town meeting. Let's be very clear for the public. We are talking about a zoning bylaw amendment addressing BESS and solar energy uses and the relationship to zoning. And we plan to introduce that at the special town meeting in the fall. And we have to we need to hold public hearings, and to do so, we need to be in agreement prior to those public hearings as to the language, and so there's a lot of work that has to be done this summer. But I just want to make sure we're clear on that for the public that might be seeing this.
Yeah, and the language can change from the start of the public hearing. However,
Can't be
it'd be
significant.
nice to have as good a start as we can.
Yeah, we'd like to get the board in unison and agreement on what we're starting with. And yes, the whole purpose of the public hearing process is to take testimony and learn. And we will certainly make changes prior to town meeting if need be.
Is this room available, the 6th or the
It's
20th?
available the 27th, if that was a good date for everyone, July 27th. It's typical Monday evening,
Okay.
anytime, if that works for you all.
Good.
I'm gonna have to double check, but I'll say yes for now.
No,
Otherwise, it is also available August 3rd, which is 2 weeks before your regularly scheduled meeting on the 17th.
remind me what the impetus was to want to get this done for October versus May.
So come October 1st, so right now, under our zoning bylaw, we have taken the position, and I believe correct, that these larger battery energy storage systems, they are not permitted under our zoning bylaw, they're prohibited, but come October 1st, we must accept these applications.
Put it down our throat again.
And so if we do not have zoning in place, we recognize there's a gap between October 1st and when we'll have town meeting at the end of October. Where we typically have a minimum 30-day review of most permits, minimum. Then we have nothing to act on other than the state law and the guidance. So we lose local, whatever legal opportunities we have to have local control, we lose that until we have a bylaw in place.
On a side note, I was asked by a select board member if data centers are on our radar.
They are on our radar. It is just yet another.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
So I said yes, it was, because we did have that discussion, but. Okay, lastly, we have minutes from May 4th. Can you motion to approve the minutes of May 4th?
So moved.
Second.
So, no issues.
No issues.
No, I had no issues.
No.
Did you get my typo?
Yeah.
35?
Yep.
All right, so yeah, it says Dawson instead of Dodson.
Oh.
Minor. All right, so motion is second. All those in favor to approve as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
And I don't believe there was any correspondence. There was not.
Did we come up with a date?
27.
27th it is.
You could also book the 3rd, just to book it.
Oh, August 3rd.
Yeah, August 3rd, yeah.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.